So the first Tacoma Mod of 2021 is going to be a big one. That's right, I finally installed my rear bumper.
You have chosen wisely.
And before I get the new bumper on, of course, I have to take the old bumper off. Now, of course, after you remove the electrical for your license plate lights, there are just a few bolts under here holding this on. I believe most, if not all, aftermarket bumpers, at least for the second gens, are going to install the same way, as is the case with your factory bumper. So bumper removal, I'll show you in just a second, should be relatively similar. Alright, first thing I will say is get some PB Blaster or some kind of penetrating oil and hit these bolts right here. This is the driver's side of the truck. This bolt, this one, which I already removed, and that one, and on the other side, again, this is the driver's side. Here's what it looks like. That bolt, and I removed one right here. I thought this piece was also part of my aftermarket bumper. I can't recall, and I was going to remove these two bolts, but it turns out this whole piece, which is just sort of like right angled right there between the frame and the bumper, this whole thing comes loose when you just remove those two bolts. I thought it was actually part of my aftermarket bumper, so not sure if that's part of the trailering package or what. I guess I'll go ahead and remove these two just in case that'll be in the way when I'm trying to align the new bumper. And unless I miss something, once you get all three of those bolts off on both sides, the bumper will come free. Okay guys, finally got the old rear bumper off with the help of my dad, thanks to you Pops. As you can see, it was a little easier and safer, a little peace of mind using some jack stands and a floor jack. The big piece of wood, of course, to support it. The center part of my old bumper right here was sloped, so that was kind of irritating. If it's flat, that'd be much more secure. I would recommend, if you guys are doing this with an aftermarket bumper that's much heavier than the factory one, remove one bolt on this side, one bolt on that side, and then get the remaining two bolts on either side all but off, because I removed like two bolts on this side and I was trying to do the same over there, and I guess there's just too much pressure from the weight of the bumper pulling down on the bolt. It wasn't spinning, so I threaded some in just a little bit, enough to hold it, to, like, I guess alleviate some of that weight. And then as you can see, we lowered it down and it wasn't too bad. So just a quick tip for you guys if you're doing the same thing. I contacted Warfab about like what they recommend going below the tail light for, and they said a 1/2 inch. So since I have a 1-inch body lift, going down 1.5 inches, so I went ahead and marked there, taped what looked like relatively in the area for the line. Since I know that is a straight line, I went ahead and measured down from the top of the bed rail right here. I want to say it was 17 3/4, and made a few marks and a straight line, and carried that over here onto the fender as well. I'm going to cut everything with a 6-inch wheel. Should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and like try to score the entire thing, and then on the second pass go through everything. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and remove, there are one of these on each side. It's like a plastic, I don't know, trim cover. It's just one, there's another one in here, and then one right here, these tabs holding on. I'll pop those off with my trim removal tools and get those out of the way, because you can see right here, my old bumper was rubbing that after the body lift, not before, but my buddy put a high clearance bumper on, different brand, and he was rubbing this on his 3rd gen. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. I can always slap them back on if I need to, but I don't want to get the actual bumper into place and then have to deal with this. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off and then start the cutting. Okay, so the whole lateral part of the fender here is loose. I do recommend sort of like cutting the plastic of the fender trim, fender flare first, and then on the second pass, go all the way down through the fender behind there, the actual metal, because otherwise, if you sort of, I don't know, it's gonna be hard to like follow your line if you do that in a few swipes. So the less the better on that. That's just my recommendation. You can, of course, do whatever you want. So this whole piece is loose, you can see. Now I will, of course, continue this line straight across, and then as per Warfab's recommendations, just sort of come down here on this line, straight cut, because all of this right here will be hidden by the new bumper. And of course, I totally forgot to remove where I had this all tied in, so a couple bolts, that whole thing will come free. Okay guys, there is the line. It looks mostly straight. I want to say 99%. And remember, you can always hide any kind of inconsistency in the line down here with some of this edge guard actually right here. I'll trim this in a second for that, but so don't get like hung up on it being a perfectly straight line. That's probably going to be near impossible. It is straight enough. There's sort of like an illusion with the curve of the bedside right here that makes it look a little off, but it's not. It is perfectly straight with the top of the bed up there, but even if it's not, that is something you can always trim off a little more. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this edge because it is a bunch of sharp metal all along that line, and then all the curvature down here with my Dremel tool. And then, of course, put some black touch-up paint on that since that is now bare metal. Okay guys, now that the bumper is finally installed, I'll give you a quick walk around, and there will be a follow-up video addressing a few issues. Namely, I just have my license plate on there with some zip ties, don't even have any license plate lights on it. That's going to be a separate video by itself. Don't worry, I won't be rocking the zip ties for long. I am pleased with the cut line here on the driver's side. It looks like it's just a little high over here, but I will be putting some of the edge guard on here that I have on the fender flare on the metal right here, so that'll obviously cover the bare metal on the bottom, and I'll be able to sort of shim that down where it's a little taller right there just to even up that line. On the passenger side, I think I'm gonna have to recut it. Here is a look from the ground. Now when I cut this, I thought this side was gonna be low, but it actually looks like this side's good, and then it gets low over here, so I'll probably go like measure the difference. Looks like maybe cut it 1/4 inch on this side and go straight to nothing just to even that out. Again, with the edge guard, not a big deal, but overall, I love the way this bumper looks. Make sure you comment below and let me know what you think. I do have some plans to put some kind of lights right here, like rear-facing floodlights. Obviously, plenty of room, just need to figure out how I want to get that mounted in there securely. And of course, I still have to put some tape on the bare metal in here, but very pleased with that, the way everything looks. And of course, I should have brought a tape measure. I forgot to measure it, but I cut out like probably down to here of my fender sides back here. So plenty of clearance back here, and of course over here as well. Very low profile from all angles. Give you a rear shot right there. And as you can see, it does come with a hitch if you guys need to tow anything. I don't really, and I had removed my trailering package anyway when I installed my last bumper because I'm never going to tow anything, but it's incorporated into this, so that's good to have. And I do enjoy the dimpled field plates. When we were sort of knocking the bumper into place with some mallets, this did shake a little bit, so It is tack welded on there. I might try to shove something under there just to keep it from vibrating. I guess I'll drive around for a few days and see how that is, but I can see that's something that might bother me in the future. The only small issue we had during the install is the plates right here that actually go on either side, the outside of your frame where all the 3 bolts go in. These felt like they were at 90 degrees, nice and square with the tube of the bumper. I don't know if my frame's a little bit twisted, but it was a little tight, so we took the bumper off and we hammered out this top edge on both sides just a little bit to make it easy to get into place. And then of course, once we tightened down the bolts, that sort of sucked that tight. But other than that, install was pretty easy, of course, having a few extra hands and my buddy's, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of floor jack he uses for his tractor, but that made it super easy. And my old All-Pro bumper weighed in at 75 pounds. Again, that did not have like the trailing package. This one, with all that stuff right here incorporated, comes in at 90 pounds, so not that heavy at all for a full high clearance bumper. And finally, you can see where the bumper ends right here. It's, I don't know, maybe like 2.5, 3 inch gap, so I'll probably trim this just to line up the fender flare and the sheet metal behind it from about here, just sort of evening it out right here, just to blend that in and make it look pretty. And that will do it for this video, everyone. Make sure you comment below. Let me know what you think of the new bumper. I am super excited about it. Again, if you're interested in grabbing one for yourself, I'll put a link in the video description below. As always, thank you so much for supporting this channel by watching this video. Enjoy your upcoming weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.